Hello, everyone, and welcome to our latest virtual event here at the University of California, Merced. I am your e-recruiter, Ricky Hill, and I'm so excited to be here with you once again for another live webinar. And tonight's event you see on your screen is how to secure your housing for fall 2024, which of course is right around the corner. Just a couple of months away in August is the move-in day. So we're so excited to have you here to give you the last minute tips and tricks so that you don't miss any of the important deadlines, contract information, and the rest. So once again, my name is Ricky Hill. Let me give you a couple of quick reminders about Zoom. If you need to adjust your audio settings, you can do that down in the left-hand corner of your screen. If at any time you'd like to zoom into one of the slides that we're showing you, you can click on View Options in the upper portion of your screen. Lastly, and always most importantly, we're here to get to your questions. So we have a great presentation for you. It's very detailed, lots of screenshots that you may actually want to zoom into a little bit or to use your smartphone to take some pictures. But also, if you have any questions that come up, go ahead and click on the Q&A button and get those sent over to us. As always, we are fully staffed behind the scenes, lots of fast fingers back there getting ready to answer those questions. And of course, we always save a couple of minutes at the end to get to some of those really important or trending questions that we're seeing come in so that we can get to those live. Once again, my name is Ricky Hill. I'm so thrilled to be here with you once again. At this time, I would love to hand things over to my colleague and friend, Scott.
Thanks, Ricky. Welcome, Bobcats. We're here to talk about, we're going to start our conversation tonight about with housing. And so this portion of the presentation will focus pretty specifically on the timeline for housing and the steps we need to take. And we're going to take a close look at signing the contract. So for housing at UC Merced, we do not require it for first-year students. So you have to tell us you want housing and do that by submitting the housing application. We're going to talk about the timelines to both submit, and then you'll give a second step, which is to sign. And we'll focus a lot of time on how we do the signing of the contract, if you're over 18, if you're under 18, and the steps that are there, and talk you through a little bit of each of those steps. Okay, so next slide. Just to talk a little bit about the timeline. So the main element that you need to know is that all these dates for the housing portion, so you have to submit, that's the first part, by May 19th at 11:59 p.m. You have to turn it in. Then you have to sign it by May 20th at 11:59 p.m. Now, before that, you have to SIR. So the housing application won't be available to you. You won't even be able to log into the portal until you SIR, and it's helpful to leave at least 1 or 2 business days before that. So your SIR deadline is May 15. And so that should be enough time for you to get access into the system and complete this. But if you wait to the last minute, just be mindful that you'll need to stay attentive to the portal so that once you can log in, you can get things turned in. When you do submit your application, if you wait a few minutes, it should automatically email you and offer you a housing contract as long as you submit before May 19th at 11:59 p.m. If you're an incoming new transfer student, those dates are a little different. It's June 6th to submit and June 7th to sign. And all these things can be done on the housing portal that you can find on the housing website. So there's a link that we'll share that has the fall housing webpage, which is really where most folks will need to start. And on that same webpage is the link to the housing portal as well in the upper right-hand corner of the menu. So you'll sign by that priority date. We ask folks, if you're interested in an LLC, please try to sign up early. So those LLC spots are first come, first serve, and we'll continue there, but priority is May 5th, which is a little bit earlier. And so if that's when they're going to start making offers, but they'll continue until it's complete. And then the roommate groups portion will also be open during that time. So if you want to form a roommate group or someone you want to live with, you can do that online once you sign your housing contract. Now everybody has to sign the housing contract to have access to that, and then there'll be online room selection the 17th through the 28th. Priority will be for LLC students who are accepted to an LLC. They'll get first crack at that. So just know that that's again, there's benefits to signing up early, and even if you're not an LLC, the earlier you sign your housing contract will be the earlier you get to pick in that process. And then we have the times for move in. And then there are some early arrival groups there, but that's more explained in greater detail on our page. Next slide. So once you have submitted your housing application, you're going to go to the housing status page. This is right off the housing portal, and your status pretty much as soon as you submit, if you just refresh that within a minute or two, it should show up in offered housing, and you'll see a section down here that says housing contract required, and then you'll click on the sign housing contract here link. Next slide. So for students 18 and over, this portion will apply to you. You'll be taken. You'll have a series of screens where you'll acknowledge information, then you'll get to the contract. And so this is an old screenshot, but it'll say 2024-25. And that that contract, you'll click on the checkbox and you will sign just by typing your name in that page. And that's all there is to signing the housing contract. There's no DocuSign or Adobe Sign. Those two things. You can read through the contract, and then you can download a copy of the contract here as well. But you'll click and sign. So let's go to the next slide. So if you're under 18, then the process is a little different. So you're gonna continue to do all the same acknowledgments that everybody else does. You're gonna see this notice, which you'll sign off. There's a bunch of things that we share with you in advance that allow you to give you information that some of which we're required to present. So we use pesticides on and around campus, so we share that. So everyone's gonna see this, and you'll, again, where it asks for signature, you'll just type your full name. Next slide. If you're under 18, you'll be asked to add a parent or guardian signer, and this should be somebody who has legal responsibility or can sign contracts on your behalf. So you'll click on the button, it says add parent, guardian, or signer, and then it will bring up a series of fields for you to complete. You're going to fill out the parent or guardian first name, last name, an email address for them, the relationship, and then you're going to create a PIN number for them. That's a number that you create. It's not one that you have to ask for. And you want to verify this with whoever's signing on your behalf. In particular, make sure that you get the right email address sometime, and then your parent or guardian will be looking for that to sign. That they know it doesn't go into their junk folder or anything like that, because it's going to be an email to them that's going to seem somewhat random from a UC Merced email address. So you'll complete these fields, and then you'll click save, and then it will send an email. Next slide, please. It will send an email to your parent or guardian that will have that information on it. So then the parent or next slide, please. The parent or guardian will see that contract and sign. But this is the part 2 where they'll deliver you here, and you'll be able to see your parent or guardian that you entered down here at the bottom. You can see our example here is housing services, housing at ucmerced.edu, and then you can then delete or resend the invitation there if everything's right. So if your parent or guardian can't find the message, you can log back into the portal, and when you go back through the contract sign process, you can go to this page and do the resend or delete and add a different one or update the email address. So this is the email that your parent or guardian will receive. They will get all the information that you sent, including the PIN number. And so this is what it'll look like for them. So they'll be able to update and access this. Next slide, please. They'll have to fill out that information. When they'll click on that link, they'll fill this information out, and it will appear here directly, exactly as it came in the email. So they'll just copy and paste their first name, last name, email, relationship, as you stated, and the PIN number you provided. If you type the wrong last name in there or spelled it incorrectly by accident, then it needs to be copied and pasted, or you can delete and resend the email, which is what we recommend. And once that's finished by your parent or guardian, your status will then update to housing contract signed. Next, but then there's plenty more. You can log back in and complete the rest. So 18 and over, you sign the contract yourself. Under 18, your parent or guardian will sign. The next stage is you'll be asked to provide interest in an LLC. You have a variety of living learning communities available to first year. These are elective living and learning communities, meaning ones that you can choose to join. These are available for all first years to look at. If you're interested in any of these, you can check the box, and then it will take you to a different page. If you're not interested, you can just leave that unchecked. And this is a setting you can change later. So if you have the box checked, you'll be asked to designate which priority you would want to give your LLCs. So you can clicking on the add button, you can add a first and a second choice LLC. And so you can place those here and then you would hit save. And some of them will have supplemental questions that you'll need to complete. And those questions, if you choose those, they'll display. There may not be for some programs. They may have an agreement, and then I'll walk you through the requirements, if there are some, for your LLC. All students will be asked to agree to the housing handbook, and there's a link there to view that. That's also on the housing webpage. You can view the handbook. You'll be asked to check. We have policies and things. There's a series of pages where you're acknowledging policies and they're given links to review information. And I encourage you to take a look through that information to make sure that you understand what you're signing for. This is another example of that where we talk about you're going to get you'll be able to log into the housing portal and review the condition of your room at sign in. This is kind of like how you would acknowledge, like, yes, the RA's valued my room and nothing's broken when I got here, or this desk was broken and I want to list it. And you have to complete that within 72 hours of move-in. Again, more signing. So this process is somewhat long. There's lots of things you're agreeing to. So next page. So another conversation you're going to have with your parent or guardian is your room, if you want to have renter's insurance. And so we offer renter's insurance. We partner with a vendor to provide it. University of California, Merced offers this in partnership with GradGuard. It is not required, but it's optional. So if you want to talk with your family about how you're going to be insured, renter's insurance is generally pretty cheap. And it can cover you in the event, of unforeseen issues with your room. Like if someone throws a frisbee and hits a sprinkler head and your room is damaged through no fault of your own, really, that can provide, coverage there. Or if there's some kind of fire and there's, damages there. I mean, this renter's insurance can be a good first stop to protecting your property, and it's relatively affordable. Next page, please. So that will take you out to a partner page where you can either advance and purchase coverage, or you can edit the coverage, or you have a couple of options. You can either decline it, purchase it, or you can ask them to remind you later if you don't want to do it when you sign. So this is an example. This is what the test quote looks like. And that's not an unusual premium for renter's insurance. So it's not super expensive, but it does help protect you and your stuff from unforeseen damages. So we recommend that if you either don't have renter's insurance, you can get your own, or you can understand how you're insured under your parents' policy. So I know someone's going to need insurance at some point through the year. I just don't know who it is. And we don't have a lot of incidents, but it does happen sometimes where a roommate does something or the facility does something, and then we're not responsible for your possession. So that's where your insurance comes in. So in this example, we declined it. So you'll get a notice for what you did. If you wanted to be reminded later, it will tell you that. And then you'll need to choose your meal plan. You'll have an option of 5 meal plans. So all the meal plans are the same in terms of they all offer unlimited access to the meal plan portion, which is swiping in at the dining halls, Pavilion and YWDC. The only difference between these meal plans is the number of CAT dollars that are available. And CAT dollars can be used for elective purchases or kind of ad hoc purchases at the coffee shop, at the food trucks, at the campus stores, or the marketplace, which reopened today. Those things will be available to use your CAT dollars at. So you can always start with the lowest amount if you're not sure. You can add CAT dollars yourself later if you want to use them. But some folks know right up front that they're going to use a lot of CAT dollars, so we offer those options. The most common meal plans are the U85 and the U250. So the last key page you have to fill out is your housing gender. So we don't collect the gender from your University of California Merced application. You have to choose your gender for housing. And so you'll have an option of choosing one of the 6 genders that are listed there. And you can, you'll choose that, and the page will explain how you can form roommate groups based on the genders that you are living with. You also have the option of choosing to display or not display that value in the roommate search. So if you don't want to show up in roommate searches and just want to be placed and don't want to show up in that, you can check that box. And if we do have an option for gender inclusive housing, and what gender inclusive housing is at UC Merced is that you can opt in to be placed in rooms that are specifically held where there is no gender checking on the room. So that means that any gender person can be assigned to that room space. It is generally not something that first years participate in, and generally it's not something that many students use. We have limited space for that, but if you want if you're looking for what we would call a mixed gender group, that could be a non-binary student with a man or with a woman, or gender neutral student with any other gender. If you know you want to form a mixed group, then both of you, everybody in your group will have to check the gender inclusive housing box. If you have questions about this, the housing office is available to help you. But again, for most students, you won't need to check that box. But if you have interest in it, you can always follow up with us and ask questions later. So once you're done, you can see the page when it's complete. It'll let you know that your contract status is signed, your classification, and then there's also options on there to go back and update the housing gender. So I'll take you back to that page. It'll also give you the option of going back and updating your LLC interests. So if you decide you're no longer interested in LLC or you want to join an LLC, you can come back from this page and update those choices. You'll have the option too on that same page to form roommate groups. And so this box will display there on that status page, and you can click on the roommates group tool. Generally speaking, if that's what works best, you can look around for other folks. That everybody that signed a contract will be available in there, and you can search by the criteria that you listed in your housing application. So there'll be parts where you say like, I like to get up early, or I want to have guests over. I like to have music on when I study, and you can search by those values and look for roommates and invite them. You can create a group and invite them to join you. Usually most students will meet outside, and then they'll use the groups tool to form a group after that. Right, and then you'll see you're done when you see the status as contract signed, which we showed a few slides ago, and then it'll also show you down here step 1 and step 2 are complete. All right, at this page, I'm going to pass it to my colleague, Lisa Perry, who will follow up on next steps.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming tonight. I'm going to go over next steps. I saw a lot of you were asking questions about dates and deadlines, and does my financial aid cover my housing for both on and off campus? So these slides are going to address some of those questions, and then I will give you a handy tool that you can get to on your own that will help you figure out what your costs will be for the year. Okay, so this website, if you haven't been there yet, is super helpful. These are all the things you're going to need to do this summer in the order they should be done. The website is at the top. It's admitted.ucmerced.edu. The deadlines for all of these items are also listed when you click on any of them, and they will all give you like some tips and tricks on how to get through all of these things. Okay, so here's our first one. This is everything you need to do in the month of May. I have one April date on there because I realized that it's a day before May and people were asking questions about it, so I slipped that in there. But basically in the month of May, if you are a first year student, that is going to be the month that you need to submit your SIR deadline. And as Scott was talking earlier, it's also when you're going to need to complete your housing applications and sign your contract. There's a few other things that you need to do this month. One of which is take your placement exams. You all have a personalized checklist in your Connect account, which is your student portal. If you are required to take any placement exams, those will be listed in your checklist. They're all online exams. And if you click on your checklist item, it'll take you to a page with more information about each one. You can see that there's a couple of other items on there. In particular, on the 20th, it says first year SLR deadline. So on here, FY stands for first year. And SLR is your statement of legal residence. Not everybody is required to fill that out. If you are required to fill that out, it will be on your checklist. Basically, your checklist is your personalized guide to most everything that we need you to do this summer. And then up at the top, the item that opened in April is the health insurance waiver. So the University of California requires all students to carry major medical coverage. If you have your own coverage through your family or your own employer, or you might have Medi-Cal, you want to consider waiving out of ours so that you don't pay for double coverage, essentially. That waiver is open now, and it's on your checklist, on that handy dandy checklist that I was talking about. It will ask a lot of detailed questions about your coverage. So you'll want to make sure that whoever is the primary on that insurance is with you when you fill out that waiver so that you can have access to all the questions it's going to ask. Okay, moving to June. So if you are a transfer student and you have joined us tonight, June is when you're going to need to submit your statement of intent to register and when your housing deadlines occur. The other thing, and also that'll be for transfer students when your SLR is due. The other thing that's on here is the major change form. So if you are a first year student, you have an opportunity to change your major once prior to the start of school. And that form is listed on that admitted student website that we referenced earlier. And so feel free to fill that out once. Just know that once you fill it out, you won't be able to do it again until after school starts. And so your academic advisor is going to use that information to help guide you on the registration process. You'll also notice, and I missed this in May, but each month you'll be getting an electronic newsletter, and these newsletters will bring up all the things we're talking about tonight so that you have easy reminders and easy links to get to things. But they'll also start getting you acclimated to our culture on campus, fun things that you can do, and really helping you connect with our community. And so in June, your newsletter comes out on the 5th. You'll also notice that there start to be other webinars throughout the summer. We will do about one webinar a month with the exception of June. June, there are 2. But the webinars are also designed to continue to guide you through these next steps. We recognize that there's a lot of steps, and so we're going to guide you through this step by step, so no need to feel overwhelmed. If you read your newsletters and come to those webinars and follow your checklist, those are like my 3 main tips, you're going to be on track. And then the other exciting thing, or 2 other exciting things that happen in June, you will begin to register for courses at the end of the month on the 24th. Each student will have their own personalized course registration appointment time. If you have already submitted your SIR, you can already see your registration appointment time. And again, we will be sending you more emails, and there will be information in the newsletter and a webinar to get you more information about course registration. And then at the very end of this list in June, on the 25th, that's when you can start applying for on-campus jobs. So if you have been awarded work study or you're just interested in working on campus, that's when you can start searching and applying. All right, on to July. Okay, so May and June have a lot of things in them that you have to do. July and August start to slow down, so you'll notice they're not their own individual page anymore. July, what's really important in July is your official transcripts and any test scores that you want to turn in. Those are due no later than July 1st for your transcripts and July 15th for your test scores. We encourage you to order your transcripts before you graduate. So whether you're at a high school or at a community college, go in and order those now. Just make sure that you're clear with your school that you want a final transcript. You're not asking for current grades. You want them to send that final transcript when you graduate. The health insurance waiver closes on July 29th. So you have lots of time to fill that out, but I recommend doing it sooner rather than later. And then also in July, that's when new student orientation takes place. I saw a couple of people ask, is it required to go to a new student orientation? It is. We highly recommend that you attend, but if you cannot attend, nothing bad is going to happen to you. But there's a lot of content that you'll get at orientation. You'll meet other students. It's a really great opportunity. So we do recommend that you attend that event. And then in August, that's when school starts. That's when you're going to move in. That's when you're going to actually start your journey here with your feet on the ground at UC Merced. And then over on the right-hand side, we have some hot tips. I think the only one that I didn't really mention yet is your email. So when you log into your Connect account and you go to My Merced after you have submitted your SIR, your email is right there at the top. It's just a little mail icon. We use that to communicate to you throughout the summer. And so we highly recommend that you're checking your email at least once a week, preferably maybe 3 times. Okay. Okay, so this is a screenshot of what your checklist looks like. This is not a specific person's checklist, but this is an example. I wanted to make sure that you all understood how it works. So at the top is, for this student, things that haven't been satisfied yet. And so anything with a red X hasn't been done. And you can see in the status column that they all say unsatisfied. The office that is actually requesting those items is the next column over. The academic year that it's associated with is the next column over, and then the deadline is the final column. Some of you may be considering coming to summer school this year, and if that's the case, you may have items for 23-24 that show up on your checklist. Those are also, you will need to do those. But if you're not coming to summer school, you may not see any items for 23-24. As you complete these items, they will move down into the bottom of your checklist and they will start to check off. Some items, when you send them into us, will go into a status, like a pending status. So you'll notice down at the bottom, there's a legend, and there's that little yellow triangle. Sometimes we get items from you and it takes us a little bit to review them. So a good example are your transcripts. When they first arrive, they will go into that yellow status and it will say received and not yet reviewed. That is completely normal because we tend to get a lot of transcripts all at the same time. And so it takes us just a little bit to get through them. Okay, this is an example from that admitted student website. So each item on there, you know, it was a step. So step number 1, step number 2, step number 6, because I know we get a lot of questions about placement exams. Step number 6 expands the placement exam information for you, and you'll notice that there are 4 different placement exams. And again, the ones that you have to take will show up in your checklist. But on this page, you can click on any of those links to learn more about each placement exam. Okay, now for those of you who have all been asking questions about financial aid, this is going to be your best friend for a little bit. So this is our direct cost worksheet. And when we finish with the slides, I'll show you how you get to this. But this requires you to be logged in. And once you're logged in, this will pull in your own personalized information. And so what you will see in section A are all of your potential charges. In section B, any grant or scholarship aid that you received will populate. And then in section C, any loans that you have requested or accepted will populate. Nobody can accept loans until after July 1st. So for everybody, section C is going to be 0. And then down on the bottom, section D, the red in this example is what's left over for this student to pay the fall semester, the spring semester, and then it tells you the academic year total. Some of you may see green. So if you're living off campus and you got a significant amount of grant aid, you might have a green number at the bottom. Thank you, Caitlin. Caitlin just dropped the link in on how to get to this, so you might want to grab that real quick. It's in our chat. Thank you so much. So what I like to tell people is that this is an interactive tool. So you'll notice that item number 4 at the top in section A is your health insurance. Now, if you are pretty confident that you're going to waive out of ours, you can go up there, delete that, put a 0 in, hit enter, and it will auto recalculate your bottom number. The other thing that's really useful in this is, let's say that bottom number, it doesn't work for you. What you could start doing is plugging in the different loans that we've offered you. So you go into your My Financial Aid, see what we've offered you, and then you can come over here and type them in until you get that number to something that's comfortable for you. So some people may want to borrow loans to cover everything that's left over. Some people might want to borrow one student loan and then do a payment plan on the rest. Everybody's situation is going to be unique and individual. And you have plenty of time right now to start considering how you're going to finance whatever is left over at the bottom. But I saw that some of you were asking, can your financial aid cover renter's insurance. Can your financial aid cover off-campus housing? Well, you'll notice that renter's insurance is not anything that's listed in that section A. So let's say that in this student's case, they still have $8,176 that they need to pay because they didn't get any financial aid because section B isn't populated. They would have to pay out of pocket. If that number is green down there, then that number is going to come back to you in the form of a refund. And so, yes, in theory, then you could use it to pay other expenses like that. You'll notice that like books are also not on here. Books are not something that we can charge you for upfront because we don't know everybody's individual book preferences. So whatever that number is down on the bottom, just keep in mind that you will also need to buy books and supplies throughout this year. I hope that made sense. If it didn't, my other recommendation is that you contact the Students First Center. You can contact us and we can go over this with you individually. There's many ways that you can contact us. You can call us, you can come in person, you can chat with us. We have virtual appointments. We have a Zoom drop-in window. The Zoom drop-in window is Monday through Thursday, and it goes till about 9 p.m. on some nights, because we know that like 5 o'clock doesn't always work for everybody. So we are there a little bit later on some nights. Okay, I think that's it for me. I know we have lots of questions that we're going to answer live now, so thank you.
Yes, we certainly do. Thank you so much to Scott and Lisa, as always, a wonderful job presenting. And now is your chance, everyone. If you haven't yet sent in your question, go ahead and click on that Q&A button and do that now. We do have quite a few that have been responded to behind the scenes. So as I said at the start, we are fully staffed, so we are ready to get to these. So let me go ahead and hop right into the first one. And anyone who would like to join in on screen to answer these, now is your chance, to everyone behind the scenes. All right, the first question: what is an LLC and how many LLCs are available?
Oh, great question. So LLC is a living and learning community. These are groups of students who live together and they share an academic course, and they share, there's also elements outside the course as well, like study groups and activities with faculty and staff that are coordinated by the college or associated program. On our housing page, there's a whole menu dedicated to living learning communities where you can learn more about each one. But the key advantage is that it kind of gives you a built-in jump start to building your community or your network within your academic area. For example, there's engineering pathways. So regardless of what kind of engineer you are, you can be in an LLC with other engineering students who may not share your exact major, but similar academic focus. Same with Beyond the MD or these other programs that focus on humanities or prep for medical school, et cetera. There are different opportunities. Those are the elective ones. There are some others that are by invitation only that can be, you'll get, if you're invited, they'll be sent to you directly, but the focus is on students living together and supporting each other, both in and outside of the classroom. And those decisions for the elective ones, you have to state your interest, and then you're selected by the group. You're given an offer to do that. And there were a couple questions in the chat about, can you change it? And you can't. So once you have accepted it and placed in an LLC, that's your LLC. We have a lot of demand. So there's going to be, we recommend that you prioritize up to 2 that you'd be interested in, and just know that you may not get your first one. But if you get one, that'll be the LLC that you have offered to you.
Very good. And how do they go about applying? Is it just as simple as clicking a box?
Yeah, it's just the housing application. You'll check the I'm interested in a living learning community, and then you'll be asked to prioritize your top 2 in the housing application. And then some, like the Explore and the International House, Aristotle House, the engineering pathways, they'll have a page where you agree to the conditions of the LLC, which is that you'll participate in events and you'll be an active member of the LLC. Others may have questions. So Service Learning has questions they want you to submit. Afro Hall has questions they want you to answer. And so depending on which one you choose, it'll present you with the page to complete those questions. And if you decide after reading those questions that you don't want to do it, you can just go back and repeat the signing process, or go back and update your LLC preference and remove that from your profile in housing.
Excellent. And then when do we send out decisions? When should students be prepared to get those?
I should start hearing after May 5th, although they may wait and see. Depends on the number of applicants that come in. With the deadline, the SIR deadline at May 15th, it may come a little bit later. So they'll start sending out information as early as May 5th, but you may not get an answer until early June. So for that reason, I generally recommend on holding off. If you're interested in LLC or one of your prospective roommates is interested in LLC, I'd hold off on forming a roommate group until everyone knows their LLC status, because you won't be able to live in an LLC with a non-LLC roommate.
Good to know. All right. And then do we offer any type of special accommodation for students who may have a special need? Maybe it's something related to medical.
Mhm. Yes, again, on our webpage, there's a spot, it's called housing accommodations. You can just search the housing page for that. You will need to work with student accessibility services to submit documentation about your about what you think you need for housing. You don't have to share any medical information with housing services. You'll do all the documentation through student accessibility services on campus, and they will help you identify what accommodations you may need both inside and outside of the classroom, including in housing. And once those accommodations are verified and established, they'll pass that information to housing, and we'll work to find an assignment for you that meets those accommodations.
Excellent. And then do we have a list of things to bring and not to bring? I know on previous webinars, we talked about that. And one of the questions specifically is asking what type of electronic appliances can they not bring? But I know we have a list of things available.
Yeah, there's a list of what to bring and what to leave at home on our website. We'll also be passing those out. We gave them out at Bobcat Day. We'll be passing them out at this Saturday's event, Spotlight event. We'll be passing them out at orientation. So there'll be plenty of opportunities to get that information. But if you search what to bring on the housing website, it'll also show up. The main thing to leave at home for electronics are kitchen appliances. You can bring one 900-watt microwave for the room. So if you're in a quad with 4 other people, or you're in a double with one other person, there can just be one 900-watt or less microwave, and there can be one 4.2 cubic feet or less refrigerator for every 2 people. So if you're in a double, you could have one refrigerator. If you're in a triple, you could have 2, or if you're in a quad, you can have 2 refrigerators. And the 4.2 is a pretty small refrigerator, and it may not be available at all places like Walmart or other places. So you may want to check around first to find one that's below that size. Those are the only real appliances. You can bring a single serve coffee maker, but rice cookers, water kettles, candle warmers, anything like that, anything if that glows to cook, toaster ovens, they're all prohibited.
All right. Now, the next question has to do with those slides that you were mentioning if someone's either under 18 or over. So this person's letting us know that their student is currently 17 years old, but by the time the semester starts, they will be 18. So who goes about signing those contracts, or does one person sign it now and then they update it?
That is exactly what happens. So you'll want to, if the student is going to be 18 before the signing deadline, the student can sign it. But by the signing deadline, if they're not, like if they're going to be 18 in August, so my birthday was in August, so I was 17, and in California, for UC Merced, your student will have, a parent or guardian will have to sign for the student while they're under 18. The second they're over 18, the student can sign for themselves. So typically for some first years, their parent or guardian will sign in their first year, but then when they renew the contract in the following year, that the student themselves will sign that.
Very good. Now we have a couple of questions that are related to FAFSA, and I think Lisa Perry wanted to hop on. Welcome back, Lisa. So the first one about FAFSA is my housing cost included in my FAFSA?
Okay, so when you are awarded financial aid, we use what we call a cost of attendance to determine how much aid we can give a person. So if you are living on campus, and you are a California resident, your aid package should total $43,954 for the year. Now, what makes up that $43,954 is going to vary from student to student. So some students may have a mix of loans and grants. Some students may have grants, scholarships, and loans. Some students may have primarily loans. So everybody should be logging into their Connect account and viewing their awards to find out what your individual financial aid package looks like. And you can see on here that we are estimating that this is how much money for an on-campus student you would need for living on campus and eating on campus. But again, the type of money that we're giving you to make that up will vary from student to student. So log in and look at your awards. And if you have questions, please contact us. However you prefer to interact with us, we will guide you through it.
Very good. Thanks, Lisa. A couple more here related to financial type questions. So for FAFSA and the financial aid award package, are they calculating included in that the renter's insurance? Is that
Yes. So it's not technically, let's go back to this page real quick. I knew I would need that page again. So this is the list of what is included in your financial aid. We do have a line in here for personal expenses. So it could be like you could have extra money that you could put towards that renter's insurance.
Very good. And another financial question here. When should I do my first payment for housing and my meal plan?
Okay. So we use one combined bill. So you will get one bill with your with your housing charges, your food charges, your tuition, and anything else that's due for the fall semester. They're all due on the same day. And that day is August 21st. So about maybe like 5 days before that, you will see your financial aid apply to your bill automatically, as long as you've completed all the items on your checklist. And then whatever is left over to pay, if there is something left over to pay, you need to log in and make that payment by the 21st of August.
Perfect. And then a question came in regarding if there's any benefit in using CAT dollars to pay for things, a credit card, a debit card, doesn't matter. Do they get a discount?
I'm gonna let Scott take that one.
There is no difference between using those currencies.
Very good. All right, let's hop back over into some housing questions. So we've had kind of a trending question coming through based around religion. And if there's a way that someone, incoming student, can they search for a roommate based on certain filters, and one in this case being religion or beliefs?
We do not offer that as a search filter at this time. And so and I don't know that we would plan to offer it. You can imagine that search filters can be used both to positively find someone and for other reasons. So we have flirted with that in the past, but we've had some students be wary about that, and not just on religion, sometimes also on gender identity or other elements too. So because when you're in the search results, you're in there kind of totally. So we don't offer those currently to look for those students. So I'd recommend using other forums, and that's where students often find each other in the other forums, where that can be a bit more of a focus in social media, or through events that UCM might offer around that, or clubs and organizations to find other students who might share that interest, and then form those groups like that.
Great.
You can also, if you have a group that you're trying to get together, you can also email housing directly about that, and we can try to help you. And that's something we can do over the course of the summer. So using the housing at UCMerced.edu to kind of, if you're doing anything involving a roommate request, it's helpful to make sure that you copy in all of the roommates about whom you're making requests. So in this example, right, say you and another roommate wanted to live together because you shared the same faith, but you're having trouble matching in the roommate portal for some reason. You could email housing, but you just have to make sure that you email from your UC Merced email address, and that you also include the UC Merced email address of the person that you're asking to room with. That way, the roommate matching tool sends an invitation. So when you find someone in there, that student is invited, and then they have to accept. If you email us directly, it's helpful for us to see that you have copied in those persons in that communication, so that we know there's at least a tacit understanding of what's being done, and we're not putting, forming roommate groups between people that don't know that they're being asked to put into a roommate group, right? So you can't just unilaterally request roommates be placed with you. Everyone has to be included in the communication at their UC Merced email address.
Great. And now a first-year student coming in or a transfer student that this is their first time at UC Merced, are they allowed to apply to be an RA? And if so, how does that
Mhm.
happen?
Yeah, currently no. I mean, there's technically nothing. The main issue with applying to be an RA is that we've already completed the process. So we need to have RAs identified and selected, and ready to go into training, and they'll start training August 4th. So that process is already completed for the upcoming school year. If you have, I mean, once you are living on campus, or if you're a new transfer or a student living off campus, you can apply. We'll open up that process, I think, as early as maybe December 2024 or January 2025. But that'll open. There'll be emails that go out, and we principally communicate about that with our on-campus community. So if you're off campus and are a student with us next year, you want to monitor the housing website. In our contact us page, there's a section there on leadership opportunities and job opportunities. And if you search for how to be an RA, it'll show those dates up. But they typically, so for the next year's process for fall 2025, will start in January 2025. So, and that's because we want our students to generally have lived on campus for a year before we offer RA opportunities.
Very good. And then do we have specific LLCs that are for transfer students specifically, or
Mhm.
also the same question if we have LLCs for specific majors and programs?
We do have a specific LLC for new transfer students. That is the new transfer LLC. So if your classification is new transfer student, that's important. If you're classified as a continuing student or a first year student, it's not going to show up for you. And you'll see that in your housing webpage. It'll show you your classification. But if it's new transfer, meaning new to UC Merced, you'll have the option to express interest in that transfer community, and it's first come, first serve generally.
Okay, great.
There's about 70 spaces reserved in Stanislaus Hall for that group.
Okay, great. And then is there a price difference if someone goes into LLC housing versus a regular single, double, triple, quad type situation?
Nope, all our rooms are pricing is based on how much you share the room. The more people you share it with, the lower the rate. And if that quad or triple is in an LLC, it's the same price as a quad or triple anywhere else.
Very good. And then I also have a couple of FAFSA questions we'll get to in just a quick second, but one more on housing. So someone is letting us know that the move-in dates are happening during a family vacation. So they're wondering if they can change the plans for move-in, or if there's someone that they can talk to see what they need to do.
Yes, you can always arrive later than the move-in time. We'll hold your assignment for up to 14 days after move-in. So you can come if for example, I think the question was your family vacation was going to end on the 27th. You could move in after the 27th. That's not an issue to come late. You just can't, it's harder to come early. So if for some reason you need to come early, you'll have to get approval for that. And we'll announce that to folks that have signed contracts a little bit later in June, when we get closer to that process.
Very good. And now a question about FAFSA. So we're hearing that someone has made an error on their FAFSA, which I think happens quite a bit, and they had a typo in their social security number, and it's been corrected, but they're still pending verification. So is there someone that they should contact, or do they just need to hang out and wait for a bit?
I would have you please contact the Students First Center tomorrow. I would recommend that you either call or use one of our Zoom appointments so that we can see exactly what's going on and verify who you are. I also saw a couple of people say they can't see their financial aid yet. I also recommend that you contact us tomorrow. And again, I think I would recommend phone call or Zoom. If you live in the area, please feel free to also come in person. But I think it'd be quickest to use those forms versus email.
Very good. Another FAFSA type question or financial aid. Is there a specific website where you can submit the GPA to be verified in order to qualify for the Cal grants?
Yes. Okay. So most of you, great question because tomorrow's the deadline. Most of you, if you are a high school student, your high schools are probably going to send those automatically electronically. So tomorrow when you go to school, go into your office and double check that with them. If you are a transfer student, same thing. It usually gets submitted electronically, but I would also just double check with the current school you attend.
Very good. Then something based on health insurance. We've had this one come up a few times. Do we accept Kaiser insurance at our health center?
I saw that question come up and I wasn't quite sure what the person was asking. So I'm going to try to answer it. And then if this doesn't answer your question, contact the health center tomorrow and they will definitely answer it. So when I say that students are required to have major medical coverage, it's not necessarily to use the facility on campus. So the facility on campus, you pay to use that in your tuition. It's part of what you pay. So everybody gets to use that. The major medical coverage is for anything that might happen to you on nights or weekends when our health center is not closed, or if something else happens that our health center can't do. We do not have a Kaiser in Merced, but I will tell you from personal experience, I had Kaiser when I first moved here. And I had to go to the emergency room, and Kaiser was really great and they just covered the cost. So I think it's worth, if you have Kaiser, I think it's worth talking to Kaiser about your plans for this fall. The other thing that this person might have been asking is if they qualify for the waiver if they have Kaiser. And that all depends, I think, on where your Kaiser is located, because it has to be within a 55-mile radius, I think. So when you get into the waiver, it will ask you all those questions. And again, if I didn't answer exactly what you were trying to ask, I recommend contacting our health center tomorrow and they can answer all those things.
Perfect. And then a question about scholarships. So do we offer scholarships to help with living on campus?
So we offer financial aid to help live on campus. So it could be a scholarship, it could be a grant, it could be loans. That goes back to what I was saying earlier, how everybody's financial aid is going to be different. So use that direct cost worksheet that I brought up to see how much of your total financial aid is going to apply towards your total costs. I think one other thing that's worth noting is that as entering students at UC Merced, whether you're a transfer or a first year, your first year at UC Merced, we try to make financial aid as simple as possible for you. So there's no supplemental applications you need to fill out. You either need to do your FAFSA or your CATA and then your GPA verification. And we use those to look at you for everything that we can give you. There's no extra scholarship applications through us that you need to fill out. As a second year, when you go into your sophomore year, or if you're a transfer student into your junior or senior year, there will be a scholarship application that you will need to fill out then. But for now, you don't need to worry about it. We've looked at you for everything that we can give you.
Very good. And then we've heard the term EFC, or estimated family contribution. So someone's asking if their award is offered based on semester or per academic year, that EFC.
So your EFC is not your award, and actually FAFSA changed it this year. It's now called your SAI. It's your Student Aid Index. So that number is what schools use to determine how much need-based grants and scholarships basically that you're eligible for. So that's not your bill. That's the EFC is not your financial aid. You should be logging in and looking at your financial aid in your Connect account. That's how you'll know how much you're given.
So Lisa, one more about FAFSA. I think the recommendation will be for them to contact us, but this person's letting us know that on their checklist, it says that they're missing a parent signature on the FAFSA, but that they've declared to be an independent unidentified youth. So they're just wondering, should they just leave that, or maybe they should just call in for more details?
You should call in for more details because there's probably going to be a form that we're going to need you to fill out. So yes, please contact us.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Lisa. I have a couple more questions for Scott, and then we will give you some contact information. So once someone gets into an LLC, are they in that and locked in for 4 years, or do they reapply every year?
It's just for the first year. It's a 1-year program. And so most of the LLCs are only for first year students. Once you are in for that 1 year, and then next year you'll transition to just a regular university housing, but you'll have the friends and connections that you made in the LLC to help support you in that transition.
Very good. And then another question, what hours are the dorms locked down for the night? Is there a curfew, or are they just open?
All our residence hall doors externally are locked 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But your CAT card, which you'll get at orientation, will open those doors.
Very good.
And we don't have a visitation policy like that excludes non-persons from the residence hall, but all guests, like if you're gonna have somebody come visit you, you have to escort them into the building, into your room.
Very good. And then the last question, then we will start wrapping up for this evening. Is there a deadline, or what is the deadline if someone decides to cancel their housing contract, if they end up finding another option?
Yeah, so for new first-year students, it's June 1st. That's the key deadline for that, and so you'll have to cancel on or before that date. After that date, you can still cancel, but there's a $300 penalty.
Very good. Thank you so much, Scott and Lisa, and of course, everyone who's been behind the scenes tonight answering all of those great questions. So what I'd like to do now is just give you guys a couple more little bits of information before we do close out. So we do have a fun event coming up this Saturday. It is called Spotlight UC Merced. It is happening Saturday, May 4th, just a couple of days away. So you have the information there on your screen, but it is a half-day event. You will get to meet other staff members that are here. You will get questions answered as well. So go ahead and scan that QR code. You will be able to get yourself registered over on that website, as well as take a look at any of the on-demand instant replays that we have up on YouTube. Now, I will let you know there are a few that are still pending, so bear with us if there is something there that you've missed and you'd like to see. Those should be going up within the next couple of days. Now, another couple of things I'd like to mention to you here. It is called the Bobcat Den. You should have received an email already on this, but if not, there is a QR code there, and we will also drop the information over into the chat area for you. And you can see everything on your screen. Each of those little boxes with the pictures that are there, those are different groups or communities that you can join. And this is not just exclusive for students. Parents, we also have some groups available for you as well, and some communities, so that you can get your questions answered as well. It is kind of nice that students have their own and parents have their own, so that way whatever questions you're asking, maybe they don't overlap too much. You can be more specific about what pertains to you in terms of what your role is in this college experience for the students here. So like I said, that QR code's on the screen. We will also drop over the link into the chat, and it's also listed there for you. But a couple of things that you can expect to do there is you can explore UC Merced and everything that we have to offer. You can also make new friends before you get here. So start building those bonds with other Bobcats here before you join the Bobcat family in person and doing your move-in. Of course, that is in August. Now, some of the questions that you'll be able to get answered, because of course we always have the webinars, and we had Bobcat Day, we'll have Spotlight this weekend. So we want to get to all of your questions, but something here in the Bobcat Den, you'll be able to ask anything from housing questions, dining, things about academics, your majors, your minors, internships, research opportunities, what the social life is like here, clubs and organizations. And we actually have it fully staffed with pro staff as well as student ambassadors. So you'll be talking with your peers. And so what better way to get more information than firsthand? Now, a couple other things before we close out. The statement of intent to register, those deadlines are coming up. So for a first-year student, your deadline is May 15th. And if you are a transfer student coming in to become a Bobcat, your statement of intent to register deadline, or SIR deadline, is June the 1st. So we will drop that link for you over into the chat box. It is decision.ucmerced.edu. You just click on that link and go through that process. It's pretty quick. And you don't have to wait until those deadlines, by the way. We would love to see you guys just do your SIR tonight, or do it tomorrow. Do it this weekend at Spotlight UC Merced. We love to be able to walk you through that in person. It is so much fun to help you and your family and friends celebrate in person. Now, this event tonight has also been recorded. We will do our best to get this up for you in the next day or two. So in case you want to go back and watch it, or maybe you've missed some of the information tonight, then you'll definitely have that opportunity to take another peek at it. Something else, this weekend, you will have an enhanced campus tour that is part of the Spotlight program. However, if you're not able to make it, we also offer campus tours Monday through Saturday, except for holidays, and we will drop that link for you over into the chat box as well. So that way you will have that at your fingertips, and you can go ahead and get yourself signed up. So I think we pretty much shared everything with you tonight that we have at our fingertips. And so we're looking forward very much to meet you in person if we haven't already. Bobcat Day was a blast. It was so much fun to meet so many of you. Hopefully you will also make it out to Spotlight and meet all of us there as well. If not, then just on a campus tour that we're offering. Once again, my name is Ricky Hill, and I am your e-recruiter. I hope to see you again back on another virtual event or in person sometime very soon. A big thank you to all of you for taking some time out of your night tonight and all of our past events to come and join us here online. It's always such a pleasure. I will talk with you again soon. Have a great night, everyone.